Oh, hello and welcome to the webinar today. We'll be starting soon. Just carrying out a sound check before we start. So if you could pop something into the chat box, just let me know you can hear me okay. That would be great. Hello and welcome to today's onboarding webinar for the Essential Digital Skills Qualification, or EDSQ. If you haven't already done so, please put something into the question box. Just let me know you can hear me okay. You'll find this at the bottom of the webinar control panel at the right-hand side of your screen. We do encourage questions, so please add them into the question box, and no question is a silly question. And if I'm not able to answer them today, I will follow them up with my NCFE colleagues. And a question and answer document will be circulated with today's slides with any unanswered questions. So this session will be recorded and it will be shared after the webinar. So you can see on the screen now what we're going to cover in today's webinar, and this session is going to focus on the Essential Digital Skills Qualification at Entry Level 3 and at Level 1. So my name is Rachel Webster. I'm one of NCFE's Curriculum Development Officers. I'm responsible for supporting centres through the planning, onboarding and CPD process for NCFE qualifications, focusing on the EDSQ and the digital T-levels. Just a little bit about my background. I've been with the provider development team since February, with a background of teaching ICT in secondary and then post-16 within a private training organisation and also within a college setting. I have vast experience of delivering and planning IT-related courses, so ranging from entry level 3 right the way through to apprenticeships. And in addition, I've also worked as a quality manager and led CPD and standardisation sessions. Now, I would like to begin with a poll regarding your current confidence levels. So I'm just going to launch the poll now. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being low and 10 being high, how would you rate your current confidence level regarding your knowledge and understanding of the Essential Digital Skills Qualification? I'll give you a few seconds there just to get your votes in. I can see the votes coming in now. I'm just going to share what's just come through. So as you can see on the screen, we've got some who are between 7 to 8, ranging from 1 to 2. So I do hope you find this webinar useful today. So moving on now to the qualification overview and purpose. So essential digital skills are more important than ever. So since 2020, we've experienced a world where face-to-face communication hasn't been possible, and therefore having a grasp on digital technology and communication is vital to stay connected. So the purpose of the Essential Digital Skills qualification at entry level 3 and level 1 is to allow learners to demonstrate understanding of and competency in the essential digital skills they need for life, including work at level 1. And it will enable learners to engage with digital services and products in everyday life and work. So the minimum age for this qualification is 16. Learners who achieve the entry level 3 qualification could progress to the level 1, and learners who achieve at level 1 can progress to a suitable level 2 qualification. Centres are responsible for ensuring that the qualification is appropriate for the age and ability of the learners, and they'll need to make sure that learners can fulfil the requirements of the learning outcomes and comply with the relevant literacy, numeracy, and health and safety aspects of the qualification. Learners registered on this qualification should not undertake any other qualification at the same level with the same or similar title, as a duplication of learning may affect your funding eligibility. So if we can just take a look at the statistics on the screen and reflect on the past 2 years, with almost all interaction taking place online, we can now begin to understand the urgent need to reach the 22% of the adult population who are without the digital skills they need for everyday life. Now, further statistics can determine whether your centre decides to offer this essential digital skills qualification. So an estimated 9 million people, that's 16%, are unable to use the internet or their devices without assistance. 6.5 million, that's 12% of people, cannot open apps. 2/3, that's 66% of those online, have not used the internet or digital apps and tools to manage their health. And 27% of those in full-time education are concerned their digital skills are not good enough. And 20% of the UK workforce do not believe their digital skills are good enough. So social mobility. So adequate digital skills can have an impact upon social mobility. So there's a good reason that your learners will want to achieve this qualification. Either it might be for their CV or to improve their personal lives, both financially and in opening up new avenues in their social lives. So people who are less digitally engaged will spend an average £348 more per year on household bills. 4 in 10 benefit claimants have very low digital engagement. People with an impairment are 25% less likely to have the skills to access devices and get online by themselves. And people with an annual household income of 50,000 or more are 40% more likely to have a foundation digital skills than those earning 17,500. 61% of highly digital citizens have used the internet to successfully apply for a job. So let's start off at the beginning of the journey. So having a comprehensive initial assessment and induction stage is going to be vital, as learners may be starting their essential digital skills qual after many months or even years out of learning, and centres will need to ensure the learners firstly can enter the programme of study at a level that is appropriate to them. Secondly, the assessments also allow the learner to be able to plan their individual achievement learning goals. So please plan your induction activities in a way that fully assesses your learner's starting points and potential. So initial assessments can help the tutor to ascertain any special learning requirements, disclose any information that needs to be shared, and allow for individual requirements to be planned and met. So the new digital entitlement will support learners with no or low digital skills. They will be fully funded And a condition of that funding is that the learner sits an initial assessment to identify the level they're going to be working towards. So you must carry out initial assessment using current assessment tools based on the national standards for the essential digital skills. Carry out appropriate diagnostic assessments to inform and structure a learner file. So you can use this as a basis for a programme of study. Enroll the learner on a level above that they are assessed and be able to provide evidence of this. And then deliver ongoing assessments to support learning and record the evidence of all the assessment outcomes. Now, I was going to be joined by somebody from our assessment skills section who was going to go through our skills assessment, but unfortunately hasn't been able to join us today. But what I will try and do, I'll try and see if he can put some sort of video together, and if he can, I'll send it along with the slides after today's session. And if anybody does want any more information about the assessment tools and resources to support essential digital skills, just let me know at the end of the webinar and I can always pass on your details. Okay, now we're going to move on to the EDSQ content. So the essential digital skills at entry level is designed for adults with little or no prior experience of using digital devices or the internet. At level 1, the qualification is for adults with some experience of using digital devices and the internet, but lacking a secure basic digital skills. It may also be required that it's important to know that these qualifications in no way replace or do they substitute the ICT functional skills, as they still remain live for you to register and access your learners on. So both these qualifications are assessed by a multiple choice question paper and a task-based assessment. And there may be some tasks that need to be observed, such as sending a text message or making a video call or making a social media post, as they are difficult to assess during the assessment. Centres are responsible for ensuring that the qualification is appropriate for the age and ability of the learners, and they'll need to make sure that learners can fulfil the requirements of the learning outcomes and comply with the relevant literacy, numeracy and health and safety aspects of the qualification. Learners registered on this qualification should not undertake any other qualification at the same level. As I mentioned earlier, there will be a duplication of learning, what might affect your funding eligibility. So this document comes from the Department of Education and contains the standards for all the essential digital skills qualifications and detailed information on what each standard means. It's useful to refer to this alongside the qualification specification that you'll find on QualHub. Now this slide does contain a hyperlink and you'll be able to access that once I send you over the slides after today's session. So there are 5 sections that make up the Essential Digital Skills qualification. So learning to be safe and responsible online and using devices and handling information may be best to be planned in at the start of your delivery for learners at entry level 3. It would also be useful to cover the communication section before making online transactions, as learners will need to have an email address set up before they're able to make online transactions. And you can now see the guided learning hours for each section. The completion of all the mandatory content to include controlled assessment is completed under supervised conditions. Therefore, the guided learning hours and the total qualification time are identical. And to make the cross-referencing, the assessment and the quality assurance a little easier, we've used a sequential numbering system for each section of the content. So the learning outcome for being safe and responsible online are listed on the slide, and you'll also find them in the qualification specification in the materials section on QualHub, which I'll cover a little bit later on. So this slide's useful to compare the difference between levels easily. So for instance, at entry level, learners will need to have awareness of online risks and threats and be able to use simple methods to protect a device from online risks and threats. At level 1, learners need to be able to protect the devices and data from online threats and risks. At entry level 1, learners will need to be able to back up the data and use a cloud provider and use appropriate language and behaviour, whereas at entry level 1, that's not covered. Now, using devices and handling information content includes using devices, finding and evaluating information, managing and storing information, identifying and solving technical problems, and we can also see how the content differs between the levels, with learners needing to understand the hierarchy and tagging for efficient information retrieval at level 1, whereas at entry level, learners only need to be able to open and read the files and have appropriate naming conventions. Creating and editing section content covers creating and editing documents, digital media, and processing numerical data. There is more detail on the content of this section in our recorded session that we'll provide a link to at the end. And the online communication section covers all forms of online communication, sharing information online, and also covers the digital footprint and how learners can take steps to manage the online identity. The digital transaction unit covers using online services and buying securely online. At entry level 1, learners will need to be able to make comparisons and be able to manage account settings, whereas at entry level, learners only need to be able to make a purchase and submit a form while complying with verification checks. We'll now take a look at the assessment structure. The assessment consists of 2 components. So you've got section A, which is the knowledge, and section B, which will be the skills. So you can now see the percentage weightings for the entry level 3 and the level 1 for section A, the knowledge section. The assessment is the process of measuring a learner's skills, knowledge and understanding against the standards set in the qualification. And this qualification is externally set, internally marked, and externally quality assured. You can now see the approximate weightings for the entry level 3 and level 1 for section B, which is the skills section. And completing both section A and B will give 1 mark for the papers, resulting in either a pass or a fail. So it's quite similar to the functional skills quals, where a learner must take the whole paper again if they do not pass, rather than being able to carry over a mark from one section, such as the multi-choice section, to another paper. The whole paper would need to be resat. Learners will be entitled to unlimited resets. However, they will not be permitted to resit the same assessment. If a learner has attempted all live papers, they will not be able to reset until a new version is available. And if a learner requires a reset, they will need to reset both sections of the assessment, so that's section A and section B. And if the learner does not achieve their assessment, they should have a period of teaching and learning before resetting. And learners will be given 1 free reset with their registration fee, and then there'll be a charge of £5 per assessment after that. So for both entry level 3 and level 1, there is a multi-choice question paper for section A, followed by a task-based paper for section B. So at entry level 3, there's a maximum of 13 marks available for the multi-choice section, and for level 1, there are 17 marks available. For section B, the task-based paper, there are 28 marks available, and at entry level 3, 42 marks at level 1. Now, as previously mentioned, the qualifications are externally set by NCFE, then internally assessed, and the exams are sat under controlled assessment conditions. So at entry level 3, 85 minutes are allowed, with 20 minutes for the multi-choice question paper and 65 minutes for the task-based paper. At level 1, 145 minutes are allowed, with 25 minutes for the multi-choice question paper and 120 minutes for the task-based paper. Now, if a learner completes paper A in less than the allocated time, they can still only take 65 minutes or 120 minutes for paper B. Now, for section A, the multi-choice section, there is only one possible correct answer. So here we have an example of a question from the entry level 3 sample paper. Now, this question assesses content from the Being Safe and Responsible Online section. And I'll just give you a little moment just to read through the question. Then if you wouldn't mind using the question box and to put your answer in, basically, that would be great. So which one of the following is it possible physical threat caused by a computer? I'll just give a couple of more seconds just for people to put some in. So which one is it? A, B, C, or D? Brilliant. Excellent answers. So that's great. Everyone who's answered that. So it is option B. Now, this next question assesses learners' knowledge of using the digital devices content. Again, I'll give you a moment just to read the question, and then if you could pop your answer in the chat. So which one of the following would require a user to use keywords? I'll just give you another second or so if you can just pop your answers into the question box. So it was A, B, C, or D. Brilliant. There's some answers coming through. Yep, that's right. Of course, the answer is D. Just search for a website. So this is an example of a multi-choice question at level 1. So this is from the Transact Digital section. So again, I'll give you a moment to read through the question, and then if you can pop your answers into the chat box. So when buying online, which of the following would indicate that the website is secure? Brilliant. People putting the answers straight in. Brilliant. Excellent. So the answer is B. So well done, everybody who got that right. And then the next question just relates to the digital communication, and it's especially relevant given how we've all been working during the pandemic. So again, if you can read the question and the available options and just pop your answer into the chat box. Brilliant. Well, the answer is D. So everybody who did get that right, well done. Now, for section B, this is an example of an entry-level task that would be set to assess your learner's ability to use online digital communication. So the scenario is set out at the beginning, and then the learner must download and save the phone for sale document, apply formatting to the document, use the cut and paste facility, resize, maybe align an image, and then the learner would need to upload the completed document after editing and saving. Now, this is a sample question that the learners would complete at level 1. Again, the scenario is placed at the start and the learners download the do's and don'ts document that's already been created. And at level 1, they're going to be using additional picture formatting tools such as brightness and contrast, resizing, and applying a filter to an image alongside with inserting and creating a table, and copying and pasting information into the table along with other formatting tools. So the do's and don'ts documents, then they need to save it into a local storage area. So depending on how your PCs are set up, this could be on a network drive or onto the PC's hard drive. And a screenshot of the do's and don'ts document saved into the local storage location is required in addition to the document itself. So the learner will be uploading 2 documents at the end of this section. Now, the mark scheme here is from the previous level 1 question. So it's fairly detailed, showing how the marks will be allocated if learners don't complete the task with complete accuracy. So for instance, in part A and B, if learners don't get the correct number of rows or columns for the table and say they only place 1 image in the right place rather than the 2 required for the 2 marks, the explicit nature of the mark scheme should make it simple to mark learners' work so that the standardisation within your centre is quite straightforward. So we have made a recording to show how you would standardise the task-based section, and you'll find this on our training page on QualHub. Now, okay, we've now got to move on to the delivery and QualHub and the key areas you'll need for a successful delivery of the Essential Digital Skills programme. I'll also take this opportunity to remind you to ask questions in the question box if you have any, and we'll review them a little bit later on. Okay, so now thinking about your delivery and getting to know your learners and understand what's brought them to you for this Essential Digital Skills qualification, it's going to be vital in engaging them fully with the content and enabling you to tailor your teaching so that it's relevant and it will fit in with their lives. So if you already have learners registered for the EDSQ, can you just pop into the chat box any information that you already know about them? So this could be in terms of the demographics, the age, any learning difficulties, any obstacles to engagement. Anything you already know about your learners if you have some already registered. I'll just give you a few moments just to pop something into the question box. Yep, somebody's put that the local to the area because they've been referred by the local job centre. That's a good one. So you know that. So what do you think their barriers to learning would be? So if they've been mandated, have they been told to attend your course? Would you need to think of any teaching strategies to keep them engaged while they're with you? Oh, and somebody's just put in a mixed age range. So yes, it's going to be quite possible that you're going to have different ages within your class. So it's going to be important part of your planning to keep all the group engaged, especially the younger members of the group who might have more knowledge in certain sections. And somebody's just come in a variety of backgrounds, mostly long-term unemployed, and some will just be coming out of rehab too. So yes, so there's lots of things you would need to consider even before that course starts to keep those learners engaged. Somebody's just put as well, a lot of learners might not have been in a classroom environment for a long time, so that is going to be quite possible. So think about what experience they may have had the last time they were in education. So just factoring that into your planning is going to be vital. Somebody put as well, barriers will be a lack of up-to-date knowledge of the internet and IT skills. Absolutely, absolutely. So they'll be joining the right course there. So thank you all so much for your input there. If we just take a little look at the different types of people represented in this slide, can you think of any sort of hooks from that content that will help these people benefit from the qualification and how that will impact upon your ability to engage them? So if you can just let me know your answers in the question box, that would be great. So what barriers to learning could these, how could these be overcome? So what types of barriers from these images do you think they could have? Yep, support communicating using IT. Brilliant, thank you. Anything else? Oh, somebody's just put in a techno dinosaur. Yep. Yep, overcoming physical barriers, absolutely. Lack of confidence, yep. Stressed out by technology, absolutely. Could help with a job search, yep. Language barriers, brilliant, yep. And the different types of learning styles, yep, absolutely. Okay then, let's look at what a typical educator and learner journey is going to look like for the Essential Digital Skills qualification. So currently we're at the onboarding stage, and following this webinar and the resources that we can guide you to, you should be in a position to begin planning your course delivery and taking your learners through their initial and diagnostic assessments. So after you deliver the subject content and the learner hopefully finds it engaging and stimulating so that they learn the content, they then will be ready to review what they've learned and prepare for their assessment. And then finally, take the assessment. So the final stage for you as a teacher after your learners have their results is to review what's went well with your delivery and what can be improved, and then use this feedback to plan your next cohort of learners who may need further teaching and learning before they do a reset. Now moving on to QualHub and how you can access vital information for the essential digital skills. So the website address can be seen on the screen now, and this will take you to our landing page for QualHub. And if you select Delivery and Learner Support, this will take you to the Delivery and Learner Support page, and you'll notice an Essential Digital Skills tile. Now, if you select this, you'll be taken to a central point for all the support and information you'll need for the delivery of your essential digital skills. So the qualification information tile will give you access to all the relevant qualification information and support guidance for the essential digital skills by selecting the links available. Now, these links will give you access to the qualification information pages. Now, the most important documents that can be found here is going to be the Qual Spec, and I recommend you always go to this document as it will be updated. So if you do download and save it, always ensure you're using the most recent version, and the version number will be noted on the bottom left hand side of the specification. Now we're just going to take a look at the support available to you. So let's now turn to the support that you can expect from NCFE going forward. So the curriculum team are committed to NCFE's core purpose of promoting and advancing learning. To achieve this, we plan to engage with you in curriculum consultations at 3 different stages. So the induction is part of your onboarding to get you started with the delivery and to prepare you for pre-assessment preparation, signposting to sample papers, and also assessing teaching and learning resources. And I know some of you might have already had your initial consultations, but we will be in touch with all centres who do gain approval for the essential digital skills. And at the midpoint, to check on delivery and to signpost you to key quality assurance processes. So that's just in preparation for any live assessments, which for many of you, the time frame may vary, so depending on your delivery model. So we will make sure that our consultations are booked in accordance to your delivery time frame. Then your final review to discuss and reflect on the delivery. And the curriculum team will support teaching staff through the onboarding period, where support interventions and events will be available to access. And this will include onboarding webinars to get you started with your delivery, and support centres with any ongoing programme of CPD, looking at topical and relevant areas of interest. And these will take place once a quarter. Now, to support your delivery, we'll have several learning resource options available through QualHub. In the Teacher Material tab of each of the qualification pages, there's resources, and they're designed to be used in your classroom settings, and they can be shared on your VLEs as well. So the first option we have for you is our freely downloadable schemes of work. The 5 schemes of work for each qualification are written to cover each of the qualification sections, and the schemes include suggested learning activities, timings, additional resource ideas, including links to websites, videos, and online articles. And they are an essential starting point at any centre. And then within this section, you'll also have access to the essential digital skills glossary pages as well. Our second option is to purchase the digital resource pack. Now, this pack is an all-in-one digital package of resources to support your learners, and this package will cost £900 inclusive of VAT. And the pack includes 23 sessions of engaging PowerPoints that will cover all the learning outcomes. And all the PowerPoint slides can be altered to allow flexibility for tutors to make more learner cohort specific examples, or you could add your own web links, for example. Then we have associated worksheets and supporting materials for the session. And then a digital learner workbook that can be shared with all your learners is a great reference point and a place to save examples of the work. Now, the digital resource pack is versatile and editable, and it's an easy way to support classroom delivery. So this pack combined with the freely downloaded schemes of work complete the set. So centres purchasing this digital pack of resources can use them with unlimited number of tutors and registered learners. So the one-off fee will include any updates and revisions to the learning materials if and when required. Now, the third option would be a resource pack that does not have the learner workbook included. So this pack costs £120 inclusive of VAT. So the pack contains the 23 PowerPoints, worksheets, and where relevant, any spreadsheets and images to support in classroom delivery. Again, you are free to change the order of the PowerPoints to suit your learners' requirements. So for example, they are suggested starter activities, and these can be completed either before or after outlining the session learning outcomes, or you may wish to add an image, a community forum link, or social media page that is relevant to your group of learners, which is a great opportunity to provide local application of learning. And a sample pack is available to download for either of the resource pack options, which is a good opportunity for you to review prior to purchasing. And you'll be able to do this when you go to the checkout page. So just before you click purchase, there will be a button for you to review a sample pack. And finally, our learning resources offer is to have the learner workbooks printed for you. And that's through our on-demand printing for learner workbooks. You can also order binders to store the workbooks in. And the learner workbook complements the resource pack by providing a comprehensive overview of the qualification. The workbooks contain clear and engaging directions for learners to refer to later, as well as practice activities to help recap and recall learning. Now, I will provide a link to QualHub at the end of today's session. And the content team welcome any suggestions that you would like to see in future resources, so please do get in touch if you have any ideas you would like to put forward. And I'm just going to have a look to see if we have any questions coming in. Now, somebody's just put in, how far in advance do we need to book the assessments? Now, once you've registered the learners on the portal, it will take around about 30 minutes for that information to be pulled through to Surpass. And once the information's pulled through onto Surpass, you can then book the assessments. Okay, I'll just move on now. So we have created some very short recordings going over the contents of the 5 sections in a little bit more detail, with some ideas for how you could teach different parts of the content. And these can be found by following the links on the slide, and also by following the clicking on the link on the Essential Digital Skills tile on QualHub. Now, I am going to ask you for another poll number. If you could just use your question box, could you put into the question box how confident you now feel regarding delivering the essential digital skills? So a 10 is extremely confident and a 1 not confident at all. So I can see some numbers coming through. So we've got a couple of 8s coming through there. We've got a 5 coming through. It might be interesting if you need any more support, is just to, once you are approved centre, is to have a one-to-one curriculum consultation, and we can go through anything you might need to cover. Somebody says more confident once using the resources, etc. Yes, that would be really good. So I would really recommend that you do have a sample look at what the resources can offer you and how you could really change them to make them work for your centre. Brilliant. Now, do we have any more questions? We're at the questions and answer section now. I'm just having a little look to see if any more questions have come through. Somebody's asked, can the assessments be delivered remotely? Now, I do know this has been looked at as an adaptation, but it didn't get approved. And the reason behind that is that given that it's a controlled assessment, learners receive an element of support, so the assessments need to be sat in person. What cost is involved in learner reset? So I think I mentioned earlier on that the free reset comes with registration, and then additional cost after your first reset will be £5 per learner. And somebody's asked, can we get advice recontextualizing? Absolutely. Helen, if you would like to contact me, or I'm not sure if you've gone through your approval yet, but this is something we can discuss on your curriculum consultation, or I'll put my email address on the next slide and you can contact me. And somebody's asked, do we need a centre smartphone? So we do advise that centres do have their own smartphone to ensure learners without a smartphone are not at any sort of disadvantage. And having a centre smartphone means that learners aren't distracted when you're trying to teach them, and they're not looking at notifications which are showing up. So it's something that we do recommend. So when do assessments take place? So they are on demand and they need to be booked through the portal, and they will be sat online using a surplus system, which you would need to have downloaded and ready beforehand. Now, it doesn't seem to be any more questions coming through, but I'll keep an eye on it and I will come back to it before we end today's webinar. So I'm your contact for support related to teaching and learning, support with planning and preparation for your assessments. Your account manager will support you with any additional products and development. And the customer support team are there as the first line of inquiry regarding the portal, registering your learners and Surpass. Now, I've also included a contact email for our skills assessment team. So if you are interested in arranging a demo of our assessment tools, either get in touch with me directly, or there's a contact email address on the screen, or if you can just put a little message into the chat box and I'll make sure that information gets passed over for you. And somebody's just put in, is there a guidance for requirements in the controlled assessment? Yes, there is. So on QualHub, there is a sample assessment that you can go through. And when you go through the sample assessment before the actual exam, tutors will be given a guidance document. So it sets out the scenario for you. It lets you know the steps you've got to take in preparation. So this is something you can look at before the exam starts to prepare you as a teacher for the assessment. And it will also let you know if there's any observations required as well. So you will get a guidance for the exam before it takes place. Somebody's just asked as well, on maths and English skills embedded into the resources? Absolutely, all the way through, and they all have excellent links to the schemes of work. So, and they all cover every single element of the essential digital skills qualification. Now, I will stop on a little bit longer if anybody does have any more questions, but we're going to say goodbye now, but I would just like to say thank you so much for everybody attending and especially participating in today's session. And if you would mind just taking a minute to complete a short evaluation as you log out, your feedback helps us to develop our CPD offer. So that would be really, really very kind of you if you could do that. So it's goodbye from me and everybody at NCFE. Please stay safe and we look forward to working with you again soon. Thank you very much.